let's get the conversation. Let's move it forward. I'm being joined by one of the most senior, experienced federal lawmakers in the National Assembly, a former House Majority Leader, and one of the senators who opposed the position has been publicly published as a position of the Senate, is Senator Ningi, and his live for us here is the senator representing Bauchi State in the National Assembly. Senator, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Yes, Shaun, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much indeed.
Yeah.
You and your colleagues, about 17 or so of you, came out after plenary on last Wednesday, or Thursday. The House of Party through fourth reading, but you envisaged that there was something wrong. Did you envisage that this kind of agitation will follow?
Well, the entire story has not been told, and it is important for Nigerians to understand the whole story. This is a process. As a member of the Electoral Committee, this is a process that started almost 2 years ago. And it was this same Apabio and Tajuddin that provided funding and the roadmap for all these exercises. The Apabio and the Speaker provided us funding to visit all the 6 geopolitical zones and spent at least 7 days there collecting results. And then we came back to Abuja, had a retreat in everything that we collected. For 3 weeks, we were studying all the submissions. We went to Lagos to finalize this arrangement. And in every step we have taken, INEC is involved, civil organizations are involved, international civil liberties are involved, Nigerian bar associations are involved, women groups are involved. And the issue of that e-transmission was an issue that is bipartisan in nature. We have submissions from Lagos, APC, agreed. We have submission from Delta, agreed. We have submission from Ikiti, agreed. We have submission from Kano, from Katsina, from Bauchi, from Maiduguri, from Adamawa, all in totality, agreeing with the e-transmission real time.
Is it in the plenary?
No. During the public hearing.
During the public hearing.
And when we now finalize, we went to Lagos and asked INEC to come. In every proceedings after the public hearing, INEC had representation there in every matter. And we visited every location in this country. And we also asked our consultants to give us what's happening in Ghana, e-transmission, Botswana, e-transmission, Kenya, e-transmission, Rwanda, e-transmission. And we asked, how do they do it? Everything that we were doing, INEC was there. Civil organizations were there. Nigerian bar associations were there. And we were guided, we look at the angles, and then we finish everything by the end of October. When we went on this recess, House came back because the position of the House and that of the Senate is one and the same thing. And that when the House came and passed their own, we said, okay, and there was an outrage by Nigerians that maybe Senate wanted to delay. Whatever reason, we now said, okay, we wanted as committee members to inform Nigerians, to inform our colleagues who are not a party to being committee members, the reason for putting those clauses in the draft bill. And that's what we did. We took 2 days, had an executive session, and we acquainted every member that was present as to the necessity and the importance of each clause that we brought from the general public. And we agreed these are things that we are going to now take to Committee of the Whole, which is the final arbiter in agreement to these things. Then all of a sudden, we found some members, some of our colleagues, who were not a party to the executive session for the first time, for the second time, coming to Committee of the Whole to now raise questions that ab initio we had dealt with in an executive session. And that's why it saddens us that as committee members, we should have been called to clarify each position. And you keep wondering, what is the problem of this e-transmission? There is almost a unanimity from the data we collected.
So, Senator, apologies, let me quickly cut in. So that Nigerians will understand There are those who have been questioning the reason behind the executive session. Why go into an executive session? And for the sake of those who probably are not too familiar with parliamentary language or procedure, executive session is when the lawmakers will say, leave us alone, shut the door, no media aids and all of us, leave us alone. We want to be alone on this matter. There are those who feel that if you are going to pass through this level, through the third reading, it's supposed, especially as a committee of the whole, in the floor of the plenary, everybody must hear and see for transparency purpose. So you were telling us now that it does look like there was no argument at the executive session. Were there arguments?
There were explanations.
Okay.
We didn't want to do a robust debate in plenary, because at the end in the committee of the whole, because eventually that's what we do. We, the committee members, demanded that we should have an executive session to inform members as to the critical nature of the bill before us.
Okay.
As to why, how we arrive at certain clauses.
I mean, why were you asking for executive session?
Because of the debate, because of the prolonged debate. And that's why the executive session didn't last for one day. It lasted for 2 days. We started the executive session on the first day from 3 to 6:30.
So you were disagreeing. It was
Yes.
it was a tough one.
It was a very tough
Back
one.
and forth
Back and
over this e-transmission.
Exactly. Not so many. There are so many. There are so many critical areas.
Timelines, powers of...
Even an ad hoc committee was created to look at these areas from the legal perspective, from the political perspective, and we arrived at what we arrived. And
what did you arrive at?
Everything e-transmission, real-time e-transmission.
Was that what you arrived at?
Is what we arrived at.
Let me. So the section that is in question here is section 60 sub 5.
So 5, yeah.
Section 60 sub 5 in the existing law as it is reads, the presiding officer shall transfer the result, including total number of accredited voters and the result of the ballot in a manner as prescribed by the commission. So two things: transfer, that's what the law says as of now, and gives the power and the prerogative to INEC to determine how he does it. There is no calculation of electronic or manual, but it does talk about manual though. 60 sub 3 says, the presiding officer shall give to the polling agent and the police officer, where available, a copy each of the completed forms after it has been duly signed as provided under subsection 2, meaning that there is an evidence or there is a copy of what is being taken to collation will be given to agents and police officer as evidence. But what we are now getting in subsection 3 and subsection 5 in the amendment is that we need a digital trail, an electronic transmission where Nigerians can see real time, and there are those who are arguing. E-transmission, real time, those are big issues that some of your colleagues are now debating to say it is impracticable, it is impossible, and we cannot be able to have it because of some of 4 or 5 issues.
You see, there are 2 things. One, the Senate sent us to do a public hearing. And in the course of this public hearing, these issues were brought for discussion, not once, not 2 times, over 10 times. And it was the Nigerian Bar Association that made that submission. So this 60 sub 3 is injurious to the parliament, to the electoral act, because they made reference to the statement of in the Supreme Court. So it is not viable. It is ambiguous. It is not something that the lawmaker should have passed ab initio, and therefore we ask them, give us an indication, give us what is supposed to be legal. And they provided this. Even after they provided this particular clause, we now subjected it to debate with INEC, to debate among members of the committee, both houses, and we agree this is a clause that will take for submission. These members are arguing. We're not in the executive session in the first place or in the second place. And they would have known this was the reason why this particular clause is in place. And we made some research. We said there is nowhere in this country that there is no POS. There is nowhere in this country that there is no phone. And POS is working in all the villages that you visited. So if we can have POS and we can have phone, why wouldn't? And I feel really sad if a politician is really serious about himself. This is something that he should be glad that is in the law, because it doesn't offend anybody. This is something we are making progress. Other nations in Africa have made progress, and even the Senate President many times that we must make progress.
So let's look at a few of the issues, Senator. And we have the privilege that you're not only a minority member of the Senate, which of course you hold the opposition view as to if the ruling party is digressing or derailing, is the role of the opposition to be able to put a check and balance on them, and you have that oversight. Secondly, you are a member of the Electoral Committee headed by Senator Simon Lalong of Plateau State. Now, the legal issue that was raised as to the position of the Supreme Court in the last election to say that you cannot, because the law does not provide for transmission of the result to the IREV portal, therefore anything that is extracted from the IREV portal to the extent of its relevance to the election does not hold water because it's not prescribed for in the law. So the question is that how did the MBA and the lawyers and the consultants, how did they resolve? Because if you have not displaced the position of the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court judgment in the order of in the hierarchy of our laws, I have a feeling might supersede the Act of Parliament, is it?
They cannot. They cannot. First of all, let me say, this is not an opposition position. Even though the opposition, some of us, were in the National Assembly and opposed this, I can tell you clearly shown 98% of all senators, 98% have keyed in to this e-transmission. So when I see opposition personalities parading themselves, that means they were not told the whole story. And even when we came to the press conference that we had as an opposition, we made mention that this thing has not taken a party dimension, because the chairman of the Electoral Committee of the House, Senator Long, is an APC member. The chairman of the Electoral Committee of the House is an APC member. 80% of members of the Electoral Committee of the Senate are APC. 80% of them are APC from the House. So there is nothing.
So where is this contradiction coming from?
The contradiction came on the day that we are supposed to pass this thing to the third reading in the Committee of the Whole. And I told you, ordinarily, we are not supposed to have taken 1 hour, 2 hours. And then we saw some people emerging and raising questions and now bringing amendments, which you had explained in the executive session before.
But I mean, so they are taking you back into what you have resolved before now. But do they have a right, though, in the proceedings?
As senators in the Committee of the Whole, you can raise anything. But because of the sensitivity of this particular project, and that's why we went into the executive session, and we have informed our colleagues. I told them that this is a Nigerian project, that nobody should be teleguided from outside. The people who may be teleguiding you on the day of the election, you find that you are on your own. I was a House leader, I was a Senate leader. Even when we were in government, there was this coercion to ask the Parliament to do this thing, to do that thing. But on the election day, you find out nobody is there for you. And that's why we have this label of return. Every time, every year, 70% of members of the House did not come. 70% of the Senate did not come. Did you know, in this Senate, only 25 of them came back? In the House, less than 60 of them came back. This is...
Senator, in all of this now, one thing that is certain is that this law will not pass until there is a concurrence. And we understand that there's harmonization committee will be set up, they will meet, and all of these. Because what the House of the version, the amended version of the House, let me read it to you, and for the sake of our viewers tonight, what the contention is what captured and taken care of in the version that the House of Reps passed through third reading in December of last year. And this is how they captured it. The Commission shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to IREV portal in real time, and such transmission shall be done simultaneously with the physical collation of results. That is the version of the House of Reps which they passed. Is it exactly how you captured it?
You see, there is no version between the House and the Senate.
It's the same thing.
Because we're on the same page. Every clause, every sentence was agreed upon before we submitted.
But
the only difference is that they submitted their report before us.
But now, what some of your colleagues are now arguing is that, one, you cannot guarantee real time. You cannot do it simultaneously. There cannot be e-transmission. And they gave reasons. Part of the reasons they gave is that there's a problem in infrastructure, poor network coverage. And you heard the Senate President, he made the explanation. Possible cyber security risk. Do we have the infrastructure and the legal dispute that could bring some of this provision into jeopardy?
A lot of it is lack of misunderstanding of the role of a legislature. When you are a legislature and when you go into a public hearing and the preponderance of opinion is on a particular matter, your job is to report what happened to the public in the public hearing. Your job is to protect what happened. Your job is to explain to your colleagues what happened and why this particular clause is there. The Senate President can say, this is a personal opinion. The public wanted us to do this. Showing we are not there on our own. We are elected by people. And the people said, this is what we want. Those who are going to implement these things, are they the legislatures? No, it's INEC. Was INEC not there? Was some of these questions not raised? Was a reply was made? All these questions that you made, that you raised, they were raised. And they were discussed.
Why are your colleagues angry with Godswill Akpabio? He's just a presiding officer.
Probably they're angry because we discussed a matter and allowed other to reopen it. Probably that is the reason. But kudos must be given to him for making sure that this electoral committee was formed and went to work in good time. In good time. I have never been in a committee that sat and do diligent job like this electoral committee because he funded it. And we made a progress report and he was asking this.
So, Senator, tomorrow there is an emergency plenary. I'm very sure that you traveled and you came back hurriedly because
I came back here
of this. Today, What do you think will happen tomorrow?
I have no idea of... one thing that is very important is that the both and proceedings
has not yet been
captured. So tomorrow we need to look at the both and proceedings. We need to look at what has the both and proceedings captured. Is it transfer? Because there was a motion for amendment by Monguno, and then question was put. Who had the question? Why was the question raised? What was it discussed? Because it is important that when you bring a motion on something that you have no idea of. One of the reasons why maybe people are not comfortable, are not so happy, is that the Senate President should have asked us as committee. No. Asked us as committee. There is a chairman of the committee. There are members of the committee. Senior legislators.
Educate us on this matter.
Alero, Yahaya, please educate us on this issue that this Monguna has raised. Transfer. What is the implication?
Senator, tomorrow, one will expect that procedurally, that the Senate President will put it to vote, right? The motion, and we might be able to eventually put the third reading to bed. Is that what we could expect? Because he said that vote and proceeding have not been adopted yet. So it is not dead. This phase of the procedure is not over yet.
Exactly, it is not over.
So what we expect tomorrow, for example, is we'll see the Senate President put clause by clause to vote. Is that it?
Yes. I'm here and I'm telling you with all sense of responsibility that this is not a party thing. It has never been seen as a party thing. Up to the moment we went into committee of the whole. If tomorrow the Senate President decides to say, is it transfer or transmission, and the gavel was sit on transfer, they have their way. They have two-thirds majority.
So that's a case of minority may have their say, majority will have their way. But is it possible, and we're pleading, if that vote will be put up tomorrow, let us know who, if Ningi says transfer, let us know. If it's Akpabio says transmission, let us know. Let every senator bear his own father's name and let us know who is voting for who. Is it possible that we can have that scenario?
I think it's possible. It depends on the presiding officer because the law, our law provides that. You can stand up and say, I, Ningi, I accept e-transmission real time. I sit down. It's recorded. Every other senator. And that is the only way.
We need to be able to. I think that is one thing Nigerians should be asking for tomorrow. That if and when the vote and proceedings are going to be adopted, let us know how lawmakers, by constituency, how they voted and how that their votes are being captured, so that we'll be able to know. And Nigerians will be able to know who did what and who said what. And the question will be asked right here, fundamentally, before I allow you to go, Senator, is that there are those who said, there are drop calls in some part of the country, even though the networks sometimes are very terrible, but in the nook and crannies of this country, POS machine work there.
Exactly.
But it fails in some places.
But there's an agency, I can tell you, who have come before us and said they have covered Nigeria, that they can provide services every part of the country.
So why don't we adopt that?
Why don't you adopt it? We're moving forward.
So have you seen Society of Engineers' position on this matter?
Not
You
yet.
captured it. I will send it to you. You need to see their position. Maybe it will also inform the votes and proceedings tomorrow when some of you in the committee educate your colleagues tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, before I go, show, I feel so sad and outraged myself when I see the condemnation across this country, condemning the Senate in its entirety. And that's why for us, we need to tell the story. It's not everybody that is in court with this transfer. And I can tell you 98% of the senators are in agreement with the submission made by the House, with the mission we also brought to the Senate. I don't know how they are trying to make it a party affair. I don't think so. Like I told you, APC governors have presented these positions, PDP, and they are all saying e-transmission, e-transmission.
Yeah. Tomorrow, we don't want to say the A's have it or the nays have it. We want a situation where the votes are clearly captured per senator. Let us know who voted for what. That way, we will know who is progressive or who is less progressive and wherever anyone is standing. But Senator Abdul Ningi, thank you so much indeed. I appreciate your time
tonight. Thank you for having me.
And it's good to see you again.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We'll take a break, everyone. But when we return, we'll be getting perhaps a look at the legal angles to all of these issues. I'm going to be joined by the 2023 presidential candidate of the SDP, Prince Adewale Adebayo. He's representing his political party and the legal position on this matter. Will be explaining to us his views after this break, everyone.